Yo, what's going on guys, XpertFusion here, and the reveal for Call of Duty Vanguard's multiplayer is coming shortly. I'm very excited, but I do want to talk today about my concerns for the multiplayer based on things we've either officially learned about the game or things that have been leaked via a lot of the leakers on Twitter, including the MW2 Ghost, of course Ghost of Hope as well, Tom Henderson, and a lot of other leakers, and their information is likely very accurate because their information on the campaign stuff was also very accurate, so they're not pulling this out of their ass. But it is important to keep in mind that this stuff could be changed because this is only based off of like the alpha gameplay and such, so it definitely could be changed for launch. It could maybe be in the beta, but maybe based on, feedback from us, they'll hear about it. And I think videos like this are good to make. I don't make these videos to be negative. I make them because I want my opinion to be shared so the developers know what the community thinks about certain things in their game. Whether or not they're going to see this video doesn't really matter, because as long as I can talk about it and you guys can see it, and then you guys can think about your thoughts and maybe share your opinions online, it's like a whole effect of people, like a domino effect of people sharing their opinions online. We need those. We need opinions because we want this game to be as good for as many people as possible, and unfortunately there's some leaks that I don't think sound good for the game, but you might not think that's a bad thing, and that's perfectly fine. We're all allowed to have our own opinions. I just want to share my personal concerns based on what we've heard. And I'll be completely honest right off the bat. My only really big concern, the only really concern I have, is simply that it's going to be too much like Modern Warfare 2019. Now, I know a lot of people like it. Also, a lot of people don't like it, and I feel like there's a pretty distinct difference between the people who really like it and the people who don't really like it, because you look at pro players, really popular YouTubers, a lot of people who competitively play this game in any way, shape, or form, they don't like Modern Warfare 2019. But majority of like everyone else kind of really do enjoy it. And that's why it's worrisome to me, because I feel like it makes sense why they would want this game to be as much like Modern Warfare 2019's multiplayer as humanly possible. Now, when it comes to campaign, that campaign was a masterpiece. I don't really care if it's just like the campaign, that's completely fine. It won't be, obviously, it's going to be its own story, but in terms of like the feel, maybe the writing style, it could definitely be similar. And again, that's completely fine. But I'm just talking about the multiplayer design only right now. We're going to make another video talking about zombies later on. But because Modern Warfare 2019's multiplayer was so successful, and I see people making videos, they're like, oh, this game everyone hated and stuff like that, and that's just not true at all. Modern Warfare 2019 is by far the most popular Call of Duty of all time. Not just Warzone. That's, everyone says, oh, it's just Warzone. No, that multiplayer was also incredibly popular. It just really did, promote a lot of casual play, and it was really good for the casual fan base, but I think a lot of us hardcore players just don't really like it that much. It's one of my least favorite multiplayers. It's a lot of other people's least favorite multiplayers. I mean, this doesn't really prove much, but Modern Warzone over on Twitter made a tweet the other day asking what's your least favorite Call of Duty game. A lot of the replies were Modern Warfare 2019, and that could be just recency bias. I don't know. Maybe people just, they have bad memories from it because it was more recent. Maybe they actually don't like other games more. It's just that one comes up to mind first, but a lot of people don't like a lot of the design choices within this game. In terms of the actual engine that it was running on, the animations, the graphics, that was perfect. And that's why when I heard that this next game was going to be using that Modern Warfare engine, I didn't have any problem with that, because that has nothing to do with the gameplay. That just means the game's going to probably perform well. It's going to have good graphics. Not color scheme. I didn't like the color scheme and the color palette of Modern Warfare, but again, that has nothing to do with the engine. That completely can be their own choice and their own decision, and it seems like, based on the leaks, it is going to be a colorful game, so that's good. But my only concern in terms of Modern Warfare 2019 and what I think it's going to be like is it going to be too campy? Is it going to be too casual friendly? Is it going to kind of put aside that competitive feel and kind of just adhere to being a little bit more camper friendly? And their kind of reasoning for doing that back in Modern Warfare 2019 from Infinity Ward was simply that they wanted camping to be a legitimate play style. They didn't want to do what Treyarch usually does, where Treyarch likes to try to make campers suffer. You just can't camp successfully in a lot of Treyarch games, and that's kind of true. Treyarch really does promote rushing. David Vonderhaar hates campers, you can tell. He does not want that. But Infinity Ward was like, okay, there's a lot of people who just like to play that way, especially new players who are being first introduced to the game. They want to maybe kind of move around the map a little bit slower, and they even use this exact phrase, safe spaces. They want safe spaces to kind of keep themselves protected, so they're not necessarily always getting shot from every angle. They can just kind of hide in a little place for a little bit, maybe, get in and out and shoot some people, go back in their place, whatever it may be. But the issue with that ideology is simply, A, it's going to slow down the pacing of the game for everyone else, And B, we have skill-based matchmaking. And I don't think they realize that skill-based matchmaking exists. I mean, obviously they do, but like you have to take that into account. Why are you trying to protect the crappy players if there's already a matchmaking system in the game that already protects crappy players? So I don't really get why they would do both of them. Now, Cold War kind of did a couple of things where they're trying to protect worse players. Like the score streak system, I think makes streaks a little bit easier to get. I still don't think that's a big issue. I kind of compare that to like specialists from prior games where it's like specialists are, yes, they're going to give some people some free kills every now and then, sure, but you still have to earn them, and better players are going to earn them quicker. So I never had that big of an issue with that. But when we come back to Modern Warfare 2019, they have a lot of these things that just promote camping, and it's doing that just so they can kind of make that playstyle seem viable. And I don't think camping has a good place in Call of Duty other than modes like Search and Destroy. And that's why Search and Destroy was great in Modern Warfare, because it didn't really matter. Like, you can camp as much as you want. That's part of the mode, really. I mean, I don't think Search and Destroy was that incredible in it because you didn't have stuff like Dead Silence as well, and I think the time to kill was still too fast in the game. But at least stuff like respawning and a lot of the other camping-friendly mechanics didn't really matter in Search and Destroy, so that was fine. But like Hardpoint, you know, Domination, it was just not fun to play these modes because people just sat in their little rooms most of the game. Because not just crappy players are going to do that, good players do that too, and I don't really understand that play style. In my perspective, I find that to be incredibly boring. We're all different, of course, so if that's the way you enjoy playing, that's fine. But the problem is, it's hard for both those playstyles to work in a Call of Duty game. It just is. It's not easy for both those playstyles to simultaneously work, because if you have someone who's rushing and the other team, let's say a whole team is rushing, right? And the other whole team is camping. In a game mode like Hardpoint or Domination, that's just going to completely ruin the flow that the game is trying to set up. It's an arena arcade shooter. Call of Duty has always been that. You cannot try to convince me that it's a tactical shooter or whatever. No, it has always been an arena arcade shooter. Camping is definitely something you can do, and let me also make this clear. There's a difference between camping and position holding. I think position holding is much different. That's like finding a position in the middle of the map, maybe trying to find a bunch of different sight lines in the middle of the map and kind of like moving back and forth from different sight lines to try to, that's position holding. That's completely different. Camping is literally sitting in a corner, aiming your gun at like one or two doors and just waiting till someone walks through. That's camping. That's the issue I have, and I feel like Modern Warfare 2019 had a lot of that. And the features that Vanguard have been leaked to have include mounting, having no dead silence, having doors, having kill streaks by default. All four of these things, to me, kind of feel like they promote camping. And I'm not going to go in depth as to explaining why these things promote camping. I think it's pretty obvious why they do. And I'm just really hoping that it's not going to be the case. I'm really hoping that either these features are changed or that they don't work in a poor way like I think they will work. Because stuff like mounting, to me, won't be an issue if the gun does not have like zero recoil like it did in Modern Warfare, and also if there's no camo challenge attached to the mounting. Then I think people will just mount less. But we also have heard another leak that mounting in this game will allow you to move your gun back and forth from the surface that you're on. Again, that sounds really ridiculous unless the guns don't have zero recoil. If the guns still have recoil, then it's not that big of a deal, and I would be decently okay with it. And this game also has destructible environments, so maybe you can destroy head glitch spots and stuff, so I guess it's not as big of a deal. Again, we have to see how this stuff plays out until we can actually make a solid opinion on it. That's why this is just concerns. This is not me saying this is already a bad thing about the game, because we don't know how it's going to work. These are just concerns. Now, doors and windows. So they actually have windows in this game, apparently. Modern Warfare 2 Ghost said that windows are going to be like the new doors in this game. Again, I don't think this is going to be a big issue as long as they're not like overdone on the maps, and maybe if they're not really loud when you open them up, maybe also if they're easy to destroy. Like, that needs to be clear. We have to see how that plays out for me to really, you know, have an opinion on that. I prefer to just not have that at all. I just would prefer the map design that they have in, you know, Black Ops Cold War and such, where there's no windows, no doors. It's just, you know, it's just open. Everything's open. I'd be fine with that. Also, it has been leaked that there's no dead silence, and instead it's going to be a field upgrade. Again, that's just promoting camping because people don't want to move around the map that much when they know their footsteps are loud as hell. And neither do I. I don't want to move around. I don't want to rush if there's going to be loud footsteps everywhere. I love using dead silence for that exact reason. One of the things I love about Cold War is having Ninja as a perk. Rushing is much easier in that game. Rushing is fantastic in Cold War. People try to tell me that it's more campy than Modern Warfare. I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you played the damn game? I'm sure you can get into some lobbies with some campers. It's going to happen here and there, but it's definitely not, you know, promoting camping in terms of the design of the game at all. That makes no sense. And then obviously kill streaks by default, like I said in a separate video I made yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever I made the other video. That is still an issue I have, because when you have kill streaks by default, you're not promoting objective play and then therefore objective game mode. People aren't going to have much of a motivation to hop on the flag or hop on the hard point. Rather, they might just stay in their little safe bases and just shoot people from the window or whatever and just call it a day like that. A lot of different things that are just promoting the camping playstyle. And again, I just don't feel like camping has a good place in Call of Duty, and I really do hope that it's just not something that they kind of focus on with this game. And they've already said, at least leaks have already said, that this game is going to focus heavily on competitive. So I don't know how it could focus heavily on competitive if this is going to be an issue. Now, again, hopefully it's not an issue and that it's actually worked out nicely with the gameplay. And if it is, that's great and I'm happy. But I just need to see how it plays first. Another big thing that'll play a part into whether or not this game is going to be campy or not is the time to kill and the map design. I would say time to kill and map design are the two most important things. Hopefully the map design is good. Of course, again, it's up to opinion, and that's not going to, be the same person to person. In my opinion, a good map design is mostly what Treyarch does. Infinity Ward has had some good maps here and there as well, don't get me wrong, but I think most of Treyarch's design is, in my opinion, a little bit better. Sledgehammer Games in World War II, I think, had some good maps here and there as well, so as long as they can get the design right, not too big, not too small, make it so it's, obviously get some variety there. You want some big, some small, but if it's too big, it should not be 6v6. You should up the player counts. And I believe they're going to have other game modes like Blitz, and I believe there's another mode called like Tactical or something. So that's cool. We can see how that plays out. But hopefully the map design is good. Hopefully the time to kill is nice and slow, which would also, help promote rushing a little bit so the game isn't as campy. To me, campy Call of Duties are not fun. Ghost is one of my least favorite CODs. World at War is still very campy, one of my least favorite CODs. Modern Warfare 2019, campy, again. It's just, I don't like the campy playstyle. I don't find it to be enjoyable. And not just for me. Yeah, you can tell me, oh, you can rush and be successful. Sure, but if everyone else on the other team is camping and I'm trying to rush, it's just not going to play well. They're going to be sitting in their little rooms with claymores, and they're going to be shooting me every time I walk past the street or whatever, and it's just... No, I just don't find it to be fun. I don't care if there's counters to camping because it doesn't change the fact that you're going to have to slow down the pace of the gameplay in order to go through those counters. Like people say, oh, just watch your corners for claymores, throw a concussion in the room. It's like, well, dude, like you're just slowing down the pace of the gameplay to the point where it's going to be like a tactical shooter like Rainbow Six Siege, and Call of Duty's not Rainbow Six Siege. Call of Duty is Call of Duty. It should play like Call of Duty. Everyone says like when the advanced movement era came around, that's when it stopped feeling like Call of Duty. To me, those advanced movement games feel more like Call of Duty than Modern Warfare 2019 does. That still is that fast-paced, arcadey feel that those old classic CODs all had. There was never a moment where I felt like those games were tactical. Playing Shipment in COD 4, is that tactical to you? Even playing a map like Overgrown that's a little bit bigger, it still has that arcadey feel to it. There's never a tactical feel to it. Warzone is probably the most tactical experience they have because it's a large map where you only have one life, so obviously it's going to just feel more tactical by design, but even then it still has that hint of arcadiness in it. It always has had that, so I don't get it. Whatever. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts and concerns, or maybe you don't have any concerns at all on Vanguard. Let me know in the comment section below. And actually, let me just say this real quick. Yes, skill-based matchmaking is a concern. I just don't want to talk about it because I talk about it all the time. You guys talk about it all the time. No one stops talking about skill-based matchmaking. I'm sick of it. It does not ruin the game for me. I don't like it, but I don't feel like it's necessary to talk about it every 2 seconds because it's been done. It's been done. We know how it works, and I know how to still have fun even with that system, but I would still prefer it wasn't as strict as it was, obviously. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Peace out.